online meditation here on Skype Live. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm the author of the Sacred Self-Healing course. And I welcome you to this live meditation and energy talk. Today I want to go back to step one. So no matter where you're at in your own journey, with or without the sacred self-healing steps, the sacred heart, the connection with our heart, the connection with the center of our center is always pertinent, is always important. And today I wanted to go a little deeper into why. Why is that? And as we are going through these intense new moon energies right now, you can feel it, right? This is sort of the tipping point right now. This whole month is under the preface of shift. Yeah, that's the energy alignment for this month. You can look this up on SoundCloud. Every month I put a free energy alignment out there. It's a mini meditation for you to align with the collective energy. So what does this mean? Yeah, there is something in us, a seed that wants to be unfolded. So one of my teachers told me a long time ago that our sacred heart and all that comes from it is like a huge, beautiful sunflower. And much later, I realized why he used the sunflower and not any other flower. But that we can discuss on at a different time, maybe. So he said, there's sunflower seeds that can stick in the earth for hundreds of thousands of years and nothing happens to it because the right conditions aren't met. Yeah, so when conditions are met, meeting conditions, that's a bit of an intellectual term for when things are matching up, when everything is right, when things align, etc. Yeah, so when the terrain, when the outer conditions, when they match up with what a particular seed needs, it leads to the unfolding of what is, well, if you will, programmed into the seed. Yeah, we all know sunflower seeds. Some of us like eating them. I love eating them. And as we are eating sunflower seeds, we're not eating sunflowers, are we? I don't know if sunflowers are edible. I think they are. But the whole point is that there's somewhere along the way a transformation happens. It turns this little black and white or brown and white, or they can take on many different colors, by the way. Little brown seed with the hard shell around it and a softer, full of healthy fatty acids seed inside the shell, where that transforms into, well, you all know how this happens. Yeah, first a little sprout and then a beautiful sunflower. And today I want to talk to you or reflect on what makes that happen. So the sunflower seed can stick in the earth for hundreds of thousands of years and nothing happens to it. And all of a sudden, maybe there's more rain or more sun, or it gets warmer or colder depending on what region and what place on the earth this sunflower seed is sticking there in the earth, all of a sudden it receives the impulse to transmute. And so transmutation or transmuting means that not just like transformation. So transformation is the change of form, that be more like the change of water from liquid to frozen to steam, evaporated form of tiny little water molecules. Nothing actually happens to the water molecule when it transforms. But when the sunflower seed turns into a sunflower, a lot of stuff happened to that little seed. And at the end, it's no longer a seed, it's a flower. And the interesting part is within itself, it carries new seeds. So this is just a little bit intro here into one of the universal laws in the cosmos, and that is the cycle of birth and death, of transmutation. So energy never really goes away. It transforms and it transmutes all the time. So let's apply this metaphor, this analogy to ourselves. Let's look at ourselves as a seed. And what, in your opinion, is it that we are supposed to transmute into? Anybody an idea? Anybody some kind of intuitive knowing? Or perhaps maybe something that you've seen or felt or come to understand through your internalized experience, your insight. There is this big cycle of birth and death, and then there is the mechanics of it, transmutation. So, not everything is a seed, yeah? But all living things carry a seed in them or can produce seeds. So what are we supposed to unfold into other than, the physical 3D human from, one cell to becoming an embryo, a fetus, a baby, a toddler, a child, a teenager, an adolescent, and finally a grown-up human. Those are the physical transmutations that we go through, and they're quite powerful, if you guys remember. But what would we possibly need our heart for, other than its physical function? So it's the same question, just a little rephrased. What do you think it is that we are supposed to grow into? Cindy, you're saying growth, experience, change, highest expression. Okay, that's just really a different way of saying what I just said. But what is this higher expression? I mean, isn't it important for us to know where this all's supposed to go?
Jona, this it seems like there is part of the purpose is connecting with our infinite possibility of us, which seems to sit in the heart. Years ago, 20 years ago, I had this feeling of this inner grain. You're bringing up seed today, and I actually had my company calling it inner grain because I had this vision. So it's reminding me of that there's just something there. There's some that's kind of fueling it, like the seed, it fuels itself. It's self-prophesizing, except for the water and the sun and the variables. There's a lot of what's going to happen in that seed that transforms. It self-feeds and it self-expresses. So with us, the purpose of self-expression to what possibility. I mean, I have a question then is, well, do we have an infinite purpose? Like, do I specifically have an infinite purpose besides being like a good person and improving myself? Is there something specific I'm supposed to do within that infinite expression of myself?
I can't answer this for you as an individual, right? Because that's ultimately, the thing that distinguishes us from animals, that we actually can perceive something like an individual purpose. But you've answered your question while you were asking it. Yeah? Besides, growing into the best person we could be. So if we just take that, the best person we can be, and investigate this. So let's, for a moment, take the tiger, one of my favorite analogies. The tiger doesn't think about what it means to be a tiger. Why? Anybody? It doesn't have to.
Because the animals are able to mainly live by their own self-expression of what we see them as in 3D, like with the cat. The cat isn't wondering why it's not a dog, or
right.
Sometimes it might copy things. Some of these animals overlap doing these fun things, but they in themselves are just sit there. They just sit and stare off the face, and they're cats, and that's it.
Yeah, so they still have something like an overseed, and that would be the impulse to grow in the sense of evolution, okay, but not as individuals. As individuals, and you nailed it here, okay, like the tiger or the cat or whatever, just really all it needs to know is that it has to be a really good tiger, a really good cat, right? So it tries to be the best cat, the best tiger it can be, without this overhead that we often have, trying to be something else, trying to be a dog or trying to be an antelope. All right, so that's as much as I can say about the differences here. There is no such questioning of that. It's pretty straightforward, and in that it also prevents the tiger from all kinds of mental illnesses. It doesn't really need to have an ego, because it doesn't really plague itself with those kind of questionings. It doesn't question itself. All right, and therefore, when we look at tigers, I don't know how you feel about tigers, all I see is this perfection, this perfected, being, that is 100% aligned and adapt to its environment with the stunning beauty. Now, I happen to like tigers. Maybe I wouldn't feel the same way about a spider, but a spider in and of itself is the same perfect expression of itself. So what is it in us, all right, that makes all this so difficult? And the second part of the question, well, what could make it easier for us? What knowing, what insight, what piece of information, or what kind of feeling can we aim at or obtain in order to, well, make it more clear for us what this higher or best expression of ourselves is? Have you ever had these thoughts? How do we individuate ourselves for the most part? We look at other humans, don't we? We compare, or maybe even compete. And we understand perfectionism or perfect, yeah, this like highest expression of who we can be as the need to be flawless, the need to be somebody. Yeah? And this is then the rise of our conscience, not our consciousness, our conscience, yeah, that then does this internal comparison and says, oh, wait, but you're not as good as this ideal, yeah, that you were striving for, and therefore you were bad. You were not good enough. So how can we bring about a healing of that? What is going wrong when we compare or when we idealize our expression that then in return, produces all the comparison competition, either with what we think we need to be or what others tell us that we need to be? How can we relieve ourselves of this self-conscious and self-questioning? Isn't that which we truly are, our highest expression, already seeded into us anyway? I mean, it is for all other living beings on this planet, and that's also in this solar system or galaxy or cosmos. Give me some feedback here. What comes up in you when you just follow along these kind of contemplations?
Hi, Jona. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So when I contemplate this, I notice, if anybody's a sewer out there, they'll understand a pattern, and how you cut out a pattern. And if we were all jackets, we would all have the template for this jacket. And that's how I see us as humans, as we have this divine template within all of us. And then we can, experience it as a red jacket or a plaid jacket or whatever. And all of that contemplation you were talking about, the heart is accessed through that heart field where there is all of this information that we can access and contemplate that.
Okay, so the access to the template, is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes.
It comes through the heart. Okay, that still does not answer the question, though. What is this template? What is this higher expression? Now, you just said something that many of us, including myself, use to describe this. We talk about the divine, or the inner divinity, or something along those lines. And we use those words almost in an abstract way. I like your analogy with the jacket template, though, because I like sewing too.
I don't
and
know
can
why
actually
that
feel
came up, but
yeah. But let's come back to like us humans and this higher expression of ourselves, which clearly is a little more than just a material thing, right? So clearly, if we think of a higher expression just on a pure material 3D body version of ourselves, well, then all we can come up with is prettier, healthier, richer, funnier, wiser. I don't know. Wiser, maybe not, but right? All these things that people typically strive for, right? I mean, this is what we tell ourselves. My higher expression is out there. All I got to do is affirm it. That higher expression is, more money or more this or more that or more that. And we already know that this is a problem, right? Because this is very reduced. Is it really about, I mean, if it was a sunflower, is it really about, let's say, the number of sunflower seeds it can produce in the end? Or the amount of petals that it produces in its life cycle? Is that what makes a sunflower become the higher version of the sunflower? What does this mean, divine template? Let's bring some common sense in here. Let's bring some feeling into this. Let's bring some heart into this. What does this mean? Higher expression of myself. Who do you want to be when you're grown up? Yeah, it's the same question. Just
I would call this the divine order, the universal order of things, the source.
Cindy, from a scholarly or academic educational point of view, the answer is right, but it has no meaning. It's empty when you say it.
It's hard to describe. Yes.
No, you have to go here to describe it. That's what I want you guys to do. I want you to go here. Not here.
Feeling into it, it's the expansion, the warmth, the love, the fulfillment that I can feel when I go here.
Yeah. Has something to do with love, has something to do with fulfillment. It's a feeling. And it comes with some attributes. Like some of all the, some will say, well, it's the absence of inner conflict and da 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 da. I like that you didn't do this because, this is also something we're training here in the Sacred Self-Healing Program, to not define ourselves or our goals through negations, through what we don't want, yeah, or through what we experience a lack of. So that's good, actually, yeah. But it's still just something that, is not quite practical yet. Keep going with this fulfillment, love. What kind of love? What kind of fulfillment? When I see my dogs sitting in the grass and they're just like holding their nose up in the air and they're not moving, they're just sitting there like this. That symbolizes it for me. They're just being a dog. And they're probably experiencing something like fulfillment. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to bark. They don't have to run. They don't have to eat. They don't have to sniff. They're just sitting there. They just are. So what could this be? Our higher expression. What could this be that is seeded into us that wants to come to an unfoldment? What does this feel like? It is one of the most important questions of your life. And here's why. If you don't have an answer, you would never know if you are, well, moving toward it or away from it, or if you are there, you'd be unconscious. So for those of us here who have this spiritual impulse to seek answers and to understand ourselves better, this question needs to be answered before we do any kind of, or decide on any kind of improvement work. Improvement work such as self-healing, for example. It's not enough to just say, I want this to go away. Can you guys follow me here? Who started their self-healing journey on whatever level, physical, emotional, mental, relationships, spiritual, or energetic, with the goal of making something go away? I did. I experienced torture of my soul and my spirit, experiencing life as suffering on an, I would say, emotional, spiritual level. You might say I had it all made out. I'm intelligent, I have college degrees, I'm tall, I'm this, I'm blonde, I'm blue-eyed, and blah, blah, blah. But for me, life was torture. And I began my healing journey to understand at least why it's a torture. I could not imagine a healed version of myself. So at the time when I started my self-healing journey, which was around when I was 15, I could not imagine that I would be healed one day. I could not see my higher expression there, but I wanted to at least become conscious. But then I realized that all these things that I experienced as torture, on this sort of spiritual, emotional level, that they came through myself. Like constantly feeling not good enough, constantly telling myself that I don't deserve to be loved, and that nobody loved me anyway. And those sorts of thoughts. Anybody familiar with them? That came from within me. Nobody had ever said that to me. Maybe when I was a child, I don't know. It was me who was doing it to me. Now I got really curious. I'm like, what the heck? Why is there this mean person in me that talks to me that way? Where all it's doing is making me sick. Something ain't right here. And that's what sparked my self-healing journey, guys. I wanted to know what is going wrong inside of me. And then later I found out that it wasn't really that there was something going wrong. It was just that I didn't actually know what to go for. I had no goal. I could not imagine what it feels like to feel love or to feel loved. I had never experienced it. Until I did. And guess who I experienced this with? It's not what you think. I experienced it with nature. With the trees and the grass and the fruits and the flowers. And this is the first personified version of nature, my first own dog. When I was 18, I bought my first own dog. And I remember having a conversation with a friend, I must have been like 25 or something, and we were discussing, how do you know that you love someone for real? And he looked at me and he laughed and he said, well, if I ever see you look at a guy the same way you look at your dog, well, at least I know that you're in love. And as funny as this sounds, this was a cool reference for me. This was a cool reference for me. And from then on, I knew what life was about, what my life was about. It took me a little longer to figure out what life itself is about, for all of us. What my life is about. My life is about to fall in love with life. And then I got 2 dogs, and then I got 3 dogs. No, just kidding. And 2 cats, and 3 cats, and kids. And I started to accumulate all of these things in my life that I could love without thinking a lot about it. Just following the impulse to love and to create a loving environment for them to unfold in love. And thus to perpetuate the very thing that I've come to understand as my higher expression. And then later I understood this as the purpose of life itself. And with all, the research and the academia and the studying, philosophers and spiritual teachings, I then discovered that, well, this is one of the oldest things in the book. Is it not? And today, I would say that that which is in the seed in all of us, that we, as Cindy so rightly pointed out, can access through our heart, through the feeling, is for the love of God, for the love of that which brought all this life into existence. Whether you see this as a religious thing or metaphorical or philosophical is irrelevant. Why? Because it's not about what we name it. It's about what it feels like. And why it comes into unfoldment for some people and not for other people has partially to do with the environment, with the terrain, with the conditions, or the surroundings, and partially also to do with karma. Because if there are things, hindrances, that make it harder for us to feel love, if there's things that need to be healed first for us to fully allow ourselves to unfold, to love, all right, then that needs to be taken care of first. That's what we experience as karma, one of these universal forces, that keeps us on track, that makes sure, we keep going, keep growing, keep evolving into our highest potential. So with these contemplations, I would like to enter step 1, called Sacred Heart. There is a handout that you can see here that gives you an overview of what is being addressed in this step. There's a workbook that comes with the step that also asks some questions and full of writings. But if you look at the first page here of the handout, it differentiates between body, mind, spirit into energy. So it operates on these different levels. There's actually a 5th level, but because the Sacred Self-Healing Program is designed for everybody, I tried to make it as simple as I could, and basically designed the whole course as the pathway to the heart, which is the 5th level of this, and show how it's connected with these others. If you go to the second page, then you can see here is a big sort of quote that's from the workbook. Your heart is the gateway to your true self, showing you the path to reclaiming your higher power. And higher power is, that which we are evolving into. Yeah, you can call it inner divinity, you can call it the love of God, you can call it your higher expression, you can call it the divine jacket template. Just because we laughed about this earlier. You can call it the seed. But there's something in us, guys, that wants to come to an unfoldment. And our job here on this earth, this incarnation, this lifetime, is to find the path, and then to walk this path. And the more often we walk this path, it's kind of like a path through the jungle. The more defined, the more sort of flattened out and refined it becomes, the easier it gets to walk this path. Maybe we're even motivating other people to walk on the path with us, and it becomes more and more like a street. It gets paved down the way, turns into a highway. And through our practice and application, we then have a functioning pathway to our heart, the part in us that carries the seed or the template for this higher version of ourselves. And all we really got to do is check in with it so that we know who we are and who we are aiming at. So let's turn the talking off. Hear my talking. Find a comfortable position Take a moment to ground yourself. Yeah, just sort of breathe into your feet. Works the best. And shoot your breath into the earth, through the soles of your feet. Feel the soles of your feet touching the earth. That's what grounds you. Take a deep breath into your heart. Pull in all your excess thoughts, all your excess emotions from below. Pull them all into your heart. It's the gateway, you remember? And Cindy mentioned something earlier. She said something about the heart field. So we now know that there is like an electromagnetic field around our heart in the shape of a torus. Some of you may have seen those pictures. And there, that field, it works like an electromagnetic field. It can help us transmute all that we have too much of or too little of. Yeah, all these imbalances, pull them into your heart through your breathing. And then release them sideways. Release them out, on, through, and around you so that you can be in the present. And if you feel a little foggy or a little dreamy, or you feel that you want to crawl into a hole and just not depressed or anything, just really enjoy this space a little bit and do this. Just don't lose touch with life itself. Don't lose touch with the 3D. Ground yourself and see what is unfolding for you here right now, maybe in form of imagery, in form of feelings, in form of new references that you can use on this journey that for all of us collectively is shifting right now. Shifting because there is a new impulse, an impulse that brings in more feeling. Just gotta learn how to master all this. So those of you in the Sacred Self-Healing program, tomorrow, 1 p.m., our workshop, our monthly workshop talking about mastering our needs and wants, which is part of the Adjusting to Change series here in 2023. And we'll probably go over 2 parts, because what we want to decode is really what motivates us, what gives us the power to overcome all these hindrances in life. And how can we harness this? How can we motivate ourselves? Yeah? So this might still be a little confused. We all have a bit of confusion going on between needs and wants and getting, having, owning. This is all going to become more clear to you now. And I hope that my impulse here for you to go into your heart more often, because there you can get a refresher, a quickening of what all this is about. Any closing remarks or sharings, any questions maybe that you want to add? Thank you for coming to this online meditation. I hope to see you again on Wednesday. Last Wednesday I had to skip. We had a big flood here, as you know. The restoration construction was so loud. I could not do anything, like no sessions, nothing. Yeah. Thank you for coming and for doing this together. See you again on Wednesday.